Today, here's what we're going to talk about. Last week I shared the story of how we created a client. We had a client meeting. This is one of Jason Risley's clients were. The gal came in for a wealth consultation, and she owned 3 properties. And in our conversation, by asking questions and really finding out what she wanted out of life. And the key question I asked her was, how important is family to you? And how that conversation led to kind of understand where she is with her family, and ended up to where it's creating a listing on a townhouse, a $650,000 townhouse, and they're going to take that money out of that property that she inherited, so she owns it free and clear, and then use it to go buy units in San Clemente by the beach. And these units will not only improve her situation for retirement and personally, but also having units, she lives in San Clemente, having units not far from her home will be a lure to keep her family close, because her 2 sons are now finishing high school, going off to college. Here's my point, and what the conversation is understanding what someone's desires are is just huge. It's a game changer in the process. Most salespeople don't understand this. They have no awareness. And so they're in this mindset of what I call order taker mode. In the order taker mode, the reason they default to order taker mode is because it's easy. In order taker mode sounds something like this: is you get someone on the phone, and then you just ask questions about real estate. Are you interested in real estate? Are you interested in buying real estate? Are you interested in selling real estate? If they say yes, you get into the conversation. Then it's like, well, where are you interested in buying? What cities? How many bedrooms? How many baths? All of that. Here's is that you're really not understanding what the desire is. See, all of us buy products or services because we're looking for solutions to problems. So the desire is to get a solution to something that we want to improve our life circumstance. And again, that applies to whether you're buying food, whether you're going to Home Depot to get something, but the desire is the driving force. And boy, have I learned this in such a profound way in our marketing this year. And so this marketing to desire, and we've been doing some test marketing, and it's really amazing how powerful the words are, and how you get into how you can reach different demographic groups. And those demographic groups are really important, because that's you and your choice of who do you want to do business with, who do you believe is the best fit for you. So marketing to desire, and it's not just marketing to desire. I'm going to show you how to sell to desire. And yesterday had a client consultation, was a fantastic example of that. In the same way, last week we had this gal and had zero interest in real estate. That was not her desire. Owning real estate was not the desire. There were other motivations that led and are leading to multiple real estate transactions. And I'm going to give you another example of where last week, Clara Duran-Reed, who is a top broker out in the South Bay, the Palos Verdes area, was struggling with a client. And the client is a very bright lady, 55 years old, has done a great job. She makes, she saved a bunch of money. She has a good job, makes good money, and she's rented her whole adult life. And Claire was moving her forward, looking at property, but she couldn't pull the trigger. Now I'm going to come back to that. Well, let me tell you what her obstacle was, because I'm going to share with you some other things in a minute. But I want you to think right now. Here's what her obstacle was. What Clara was when she hit the wall. She was showing her properties, and calculating, showing her payments and what have you. And here's where the gal just said, no, I'm not buying. She said, look, I'm paying $1,900 a month for rent. If I go buy a property, I'm going to be paying $3,000 a month. And this is going to affect my ability to save money. I'm not going to be able to save as much with a $3,000 mortgage payment as I $1,800 a month rent payment. Now, that obstacle or that objection she put out, is that true? Well, yeah, I guess if you look at it purely from a perspective of saving money, then she's right. She's not going to save as much money, but does that mean she's going to have as much wealth? So here's my point, and here's what I want you to think about for a moment. I'm going to come back to this, got some other important things I want to share with you. Here's what's really important as a salesperson. If you're in order taker mode and you're going, do you want to buy? And she's like, well, yeah, I'm interested in buying. Okay, great. And then you start showing her, houses or condos or townhouses or whatever. And then she says, oh, I see the payment is too big of a, and so now I'm no longer interested in, you have that objection. Then if you don't know how to overcome that objection, and you're not going to be able to overcome that objection if you stay in order taker mode. You have to shift out of that mode into this mode of what is her real desire. So I'm going to come back to that. I want you to think about how would you have overcome that objection. And I'm going to share with you the amazing and highly successful consultation that we had yesterday. All right. Before we get into that, I wrote our newsletter for September, and I was thinking about, okay, what is the most important topic today when it comes to your money, my money, and what drives our money and how we save our money, protect ourselves financially. Is, and really what I'm talking about is the economy and examining the economy. So the real question, and I think most people's minds, in your mind, it's certainly in my mind, I think most people's mind is, this is a crazy time. The stock market took a big hit, now it's moved back up. The last few days it's been bouncing around. We've looked at, interest rates drop really low. There's all kinds of factors going on. The unemployment rate is really high. The economy has taken a big hit and has suffered, but yet there are some people doing really well. So my point in all of this chaos is the question is always, what's the best place to have your money? What's the best place, meaning where are you going to grow your money? Where is it going to be safest? And how are you going to be able to protect yourself financially? So what is the smartest play for you and your money, financial security? I want you to think about how many people you talk to, how many people in your database want to know the answer to that question. What do you think about that? Do you think people want to know?
Oh, absolutely.
How many people are concerned about that? They don't know. I mean, they just don't know. I'm going to show you what I believe and why I believe this is the best path for your financial security, not just short-term, but long-term. There's a great article here you can see on the Wall Street Journal. Love the Wall Street Journal. All right, this is from, you see, Jerome Powell's the Federal Reserve Chairman. Fed Powell says, economy likely will need more government spending, meaning low interest rates. By the way, there's another article talking about how the debt level, the US debt level, is the highest it's ever been in history. The previous record was in World War II, when the country printed massive amounts of money to fund the war. And the debt level had exceeded, got about to the level of exceeding what the GDP is. Today it's even higher. High going into the virus, and then when the virus hit, now as everybody knows, the country's printed insane amounts of money to keep the economy going. So that's another factor that's lurking out there that is really relevant to what's your best strategy for building wealth and protecting your money. But we'll come back to that. But you can see this, Fed's policy says the economy will likely need to spend way more money. I was going to scroll down. I'm going to show a couple points, a couple comments that he makes. All right, here we go. All right. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said Friday report showing 1.4 million Americans found or resumed work in August. So that's good news. But the economy will likely require more government spending and low interest rates for years. Now, he said, going down a couple places, we do think it will get harder from here. I'm going to repeat that. We do think it will get harder from here, Mr. Powell. Said Mr. Powell, employment in service sectors, especially those that tend to support entry-level and lower-paid workers, may be some of the hard jobs to find because there are some parts that will take longer to recover. Job gains in August help push down the unemployment rate to 8.4% from 10.2. But 8.2 is recessionary level unemployment. That's a high level of unemployment. So this is a big factor. So here's the question. We look at this, say, how long is it going to take? And the key ingredients to almost everything is always psychology. And here's the psychology. How long is it going to take before people feel safe to get on a plane and start traveling around the country and around the world? The airlines industry really struggling. I think it was United Airlines laid off like 16,000 people last week, and I think it was American Airlines that had laid off something like 20,000, a couple weeks ago. The hotel industry, hotels are averaging below 50% occupancy, so that's a huge factor. We've seen, the theaters. There are all kinds of restaurants and so on. There are a lot of different service sector jobs that who knows when they're going to come back. Right now, most of us, I know I was thinking that by now we would start to see a lot of things get more normal. Now, things are certainly better today in September than they were in March and April, but there are still a lot of people laid off. And so the point being is this unemployment rate is still too high. There's still a big sector that that's being affected by that, and it's going to take some time for things to regain these jobs and get the economy more on track. Well, what does all this mean for interest rates? Well, they're low and they're going to stay low. The Fed made a big shift recently, which I'm going to bore you with all the details of that, but in short, basically what they said is that we're going to allow, when the economy starts to recover, we're going to keep rates lower because we're going to a different formula of basically averaging interest rates and averaging inflation is really what I should say. It's averaging inflation so that we can keep rates lower for a longer period of time. So first thing, if we look at our little box as far as what are the keys, in fact, let me see. Can I see this here?
I'm going to try to zoom in on that. So
I'm going to look at some of the factors. Okay, so as far as, and here's the key point, is where's the best place for you to have your money and protect your money for now and toward retirement? So we said we have unemployment is a big factor. So this is high. Now we have interest rates, which are really low. Here's another one, is retail. Let's go to that next article. It's the Goldman Sachs one.
okay.
So with retail, you know, we've had Amazon and online sales has been beating up the retail sector, right? There's a great article.
This one.
Yeah, this one here. Okay, this is an article in the Wall Street Journal over the weekend. Yeah, scroll down a little bit on. Look at retail eviction proceedings pick up as the economy restarts. So proceedings of the retail, proceedings for the eviction of retail tenants are picking up across the country as courts reopen and state moratoriums on eviction expiring or getting curtailed as the economy reopens. Look at this one. In Miami, luxury and shopping center landlord began legal proceedings to evict Saks Fifth Avenue 2 weeks ago for non-payment of rent amounting to $1.9 million as of early July. Now, Saks, a big operation. Neiman Marcus is in bankruptcy. Macy's, all of these retail, they were already on the ropes because of Amazon. Now you add the virus and they're getting decimated. Now, here's my point to this, okay? Is what does all this mean for commercial real estate? It's good news or bad news?
Bad news.
You know, driving up and down Tustin Avenue here, I look in your community, look at all the vacancy factors. I'm in an executive group, and you know, it's a bunch of high net worth guys, and you know, we had a meeting. It's, you know, meet a couple times a month, and you know, one of the guys is a developer, and his firm, they own all kinds of large shopping centers around the country, and he was talking about the number of their customers or their tenants that are broke, that are just starving, trying to stay alive, and you know, I mean, their businesses, you know, they're losing money. They're working for free. They've been working for free to keep their businesses afloat since March. So that's March, April, May, June, July, August. So we're in the 7th month of working for free. So they're really struggling. Vacancies are popping up all over the place. Now, if you look at the stock market now is starting to feel all this, you know, the stock market is going to be able to continue to rise when unemployment, with unemployment staying this high. Here, another effect for commercial, as we talked about retail for commercial, another key part of commercial is that, as far as an impact, is remote. You know, remote jobs. You know, people were moving in this direction where, you know, a small percentage of people and companies were allowing people to work from home. Well, then all of a sudden one night, you know, everybody had to push everybody, and everybody, you know, ran and started working from home. And now we're seeing companies that are adjusting, and I can tell you right now, because we're looking for employees, this is a big deal where employees right off the bat will just tell you, do I have the option to work from home permanently? This is my point, big psychological shift on both sides, and companies now are looking at it going, wow, you know, this is actually, you know, we're benefiting in that, you know, we can take smaller space. So there are some other upsides. You know, I just was told the other day that Pinterest, gigantic company, bailed out of, they had a lease that they were going to take, and I think it was up in San Francisco, where they're taking, you know, it was a, you know, gigantic space, and they bailed out of it, and they paid a $1.8 million, $1.8 million penalty to get out of the lease because of this shift. This is a huge factor. All of this, what does this mean to commercial? It's bad news on top of bad news. You know, retail is hurting them, remote's hurting them, commercial is not a good place to be. So when you look at all of this, okay, who's the winner? Residential, real estate. Here's why. If people are working from home, they need a home office. They need an environment where they can work from home. Now they want to work from home. if you're going to start spending more and more time at home, people are going to be apprehensive for a while to go back to the gyms. The home is not going to be just the home, right?
It's true.
It's not just the home.
Been thinking about that exactly that.
Yeah, the number of hours that people are now going to be spending in their home is going to probably double or maybe even triple. The home is going to be Grand Central Station for their life. But here's another factor with this, is that if you're going to spend way more time at home, do you want a smaller home or a bigger home? Is space going to become a factor? Yeah, space becomes a factor. Bigger lots, bigger square footage. Developers builders are already working their designs, and they're expanding the square footage. But here's the other factor. So here's another loser from all of this. Commercial's a loser. But the other factor is high density environments, inner cities. New York has a massive exodus going on of both and residential. So high density areas are being affected. Now, here's where if you're in residential real estate, you're going to be you're in a great place. But you need to understand how to have this conversation with your clients, and your smarter clients, the ones that are making more money, that are looking into being financially secure. And that's why we created this whole Mark I Wealth Academy, is to bring these strategies not just to the elite thinkers, the top 5%, but to the masses. Is repositioning in residential real estate is the way to go. And here's the other thing: when you can work remote, if you're living downtown someplace in a small place where maybe it's a condo, maybe it's apartments, but now you've gotten to a shift where the employer's like, oh, you know what, we're embracing it, remote work permanently. All of a sudden, now it doesn't matter whether you live 15 or 20 or 30 minutes from work. You can move 2 hours from work, or you can move even out of state. But here's where this is going to go. I think the Inland Empire is really going to win from this. Where people can move to the Inland Empire and get bigger lots, bigger houses, you can be in an environment, because they don't have to deal with the drive time, all of that. So any places that are on the outskirts. But here's where also, as a residential agent, creates a tremendous opportunity, is to take people that are, homeowners, what I'm talking about, and turn homeowners into investors, where they turn their home into a rental, and they go buy someplace else where they get a bigger house, a bigger area, bigger community, and so on. They get a much nicer environment to live in. So there are a lot of factors, and there's a big shift going on in our economy in many ways. And as I said, there's winners and there's losers, but a lot of this these are not temporary shifts. A lot of these things are permanent shifts, and especially this thing with remote and commercial, the internet and purchasing products online, that's not going to change. That's only going to continue to grow. Remote work is only going to continue to grow. Commercial loses, residential wins. Stock market is at peaks. We're not going to see the stock market continue to go up for some time. Low interest rates create a huge win for the real estate market. So everything is lining up for residential real estate to do phenomenally well for, I think, for years. It's really the place. And I want to show you now as I get back to this this example of this case study that I talked about. All right, so let me get into this case study, this scenario.
Very good.
Really good.
Okay. Is there any questions on this, Mother?
Yeah, let's just ask. I don't have questions, but let's just make sure that people know to type into your question box if you have any questions about anything that we're talking about, and we'll answer them while we're live. So don't wait till the end, because we cut out pretty quick. So if you have questions, go ahead and type them in.
Yeah, if you have any questions on any of this, because this is super important. And I want you to think about this. How many residential real estate agents do you think are having this conversation with their clients? Not many, because they stay in order taker mode.
Yeah, some, not off the top of my head, but with commercial being down, right? You suppose rents are gonna be going down? I mean, will this be a good time for me to get a storefront and some shopping center for my own office?
You're gonna see residential, commercial rates come down for sure. Rental rates will come down. But we're still in the beginning of it. I would give it 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months.
Interesting.
I'd give it 6 months, yeah.
Keep an eye out then. All right.
Yeah, there's definitely a big shift in going on. And, here's the thing is, it all revolves around how you look at change. Change is a constant. What I've learned is that embrace change. Don't look at change as a fearful thing. Look at change as a positive thing, because whoever's on the front end of change is going to win. Most people resist change. So if you're in the 10% that embraces change and you're on the front end, life's better. You win way more. If you're on the 90% that resist change, you're going to struggle because you're late to the party. So embrace change, see the change for what it is. It's a phenomenal opportunity. And don't get attached to things that are behind you. Just let them go.